Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Suits, Season 7, Episode 4 review. So, personally, I really enjoyed this one. It was a good episode. Last week's wasn't my favorite, Mudmare, Episode 3 there, but this one I really enjoyed. Definitely a lot more, some more, storylines are coming out and kind of becoming more diverse here. We're getting introduced to, a lot more, like, kind of not new characters, but more characters in this one, and just, more storylines. Overall, I liked what they did this week. So, anyways, let's jump right into it with sort of the recap here. And as always for this show, I'm just going to be doing storylines. So I may go out of order quite a bit in this review, not following chronological order. Although some of the stuff here is in chronological order, because that's just how, it happened to be that they do, two scenes for the same storyline twice in a row. Something like that. So yeah, that's basically that. Let's get into it. So first I'm going to touch on the whole Rachel and wedding date sort of setting, talking about it with Mike and her father. So really funny scene in the beginning of the show, which I liked. Robert, Zane, and Rachel go to Harvey's apartment there, and Rachel, because we also saw in like the previously on Suits little scene there. We saw that the flashback that Harvey told Mike that they could have the wedding at his place, which is kind of a weird offer. I don't know why they would want to have the wedding at his place anyways, but obviously, Rachel's dad comes and, he says that's out of the question, we're not having it here or whatever, and Rachel kind of agrees. So, obviously, I think she just wanted to, make Mike happy or something like that. Maybe she thought that he wanted to be there. I'm not sure, but kind of a interesting thing there. And to bring back this whole wedding talk, is we haven't seen it since season 6, probably the first half of season 6, like the first 10 episodes there. So that was kind of interesting. And then the funny quote there from Robert, I'm going to take his toilet bowl for a test drive. That was pretty funny. And he just helps himself to a beer out of the fridge. So that was pretty funny scene there. And then it sort of, I also said here that sort of foreshadows basically like the whole wedding thing that's coming up, and in the rest of the episode too, they talked about it. So it kind of foreshadows that maybe the mid-season finale for this season here is going to be the wedding, or maybe the finale of the season. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a huge event, and I don't think they would just put it in a random episode. So I think that's going to be a big event there, and it's going to be pretty cool, to see from season 1 all the way of how far we've come, right, to season 7. So yeah, pretty cool there with that relationship with Rachel and Mike. So then we get Rachel booking an appointment with the event planner at the plaza after her and Mike decide that they want to have it there again. She shows up late, and I will get into why she shows up late, but then she ends up canceling the appointment there anyways, and but she goes alone because Mike is busy with that pro bono case that he's working on, and he can't make it. So obviously she wants him to be there, something like that, and she ends up canceling it. So then Rachel sort of dwelling on her father's words throughout this whole episode. Basically, it comes up a few times about having time during their marriage for each other, stuff like that. And it was a good quote. I mean, it's a good observation there by Robert to tell Rachel that. And he has a point, I think. But I don't think they have to really worry about that as of now. They're still, kind of I wouldn't say a new couple. They've been together for 2 years probably, but or actually no, not that long, like a year and a half maybe. But they definitely don't have to worry about that. They're both lawyers at a pretty high up law firm in New York. So they're gonna be busy. That's just that's what comes with a job, whatever. So that's not a big deal in my opinion, but sort of just came up again and again in this episode. And then she tells Mike that Mike kind of comforts her and says they will set a date that night when they get home. And but Rachel knows that it won't be for a while because they talk about it and they both are busy and they don't have time to get this wedding on the road and do it really soon, to plan it all and make it what they want. So that's pretty interesting there. And then at the very end of the episode, we saw the phone call with Rachel and her dad. Um, just showed some more bonding time there, and this was kind of part of the wedding storyline. Not really though, but just she said something about working with him and about the merger, and that was, and I'll get to that later, of course. But that was kind of a cool moment there. And then she says that we're gonna set a date for the wedding and all that. So pretty nice bonding moment there. We haven't seen Robert yet this season. He's sort of like in this series, he kind of just pops up in the middle of nowhere at times. Like, I find like he'll be in this show for 3-4 episodes straight with a new storyline, and then he's just gone for another 3 to 4 episodes, and he comes back for something else. So he's kind of a weird character, but he's good. I mean, it's kind of shows the realisticness of how big New York is and how many like law firms there are and stuff, right? So he's not always going to be in the picture with Harvey and Pearson Spector Lit, right? So I like his character. I love it. The actor, I don't know his name right now, but he's great in the role as well. Yeah, so I do like it. I just thought I'd point that out because it is kind of weird. I've never seen another show like that where, I mean, I've seen lots of times that characters come in the show, have 3 to 4 episode storyline, then they're gone. But then they don't usually, come back each season, right? So it's kind of interesting. But I mean, Rachel is a main character, of course, and that's her dad. So obviously he's always going to be in the show as long as she's in the show. So yeah, so it was kind of an interesting scene there. Get to see more of Robert, as we haven't seen him yet this season. So then next storyline here. So Lewis this is sort of the Lewis storyline here, sort of about basically the aftermath of last week's episode, Mudmare. So Lewis starts off kind of furious at Donna due to her firing Stephanie out of the bullpen there. And, he said she was the smartest fourth year we had, something like that. Yeah, so that was a big scene there. So then, of course, after that, Donna tells Harvey to make up with his number 2. She calls him, and that's Lewis, of course. So kind of interesting there to see, how Lewis is still obviously like a tyrant basically right now. I don't think he's actually like, he doesn't care that much about the Stephanie firing. I think it's more, deeper than that. And he says, Harvey's taking this or putting the firm into the ground or something like that. So obviously he kind of blames Harvey for it, not really Donna, and he takes it out on her. Donna's pretty smart, though. She realizes that, of course, and tells Harvey to make up with him. So then, we see Jessica again. So this is kind of interesting. Like, when she left, I thought she was gone for good. To be honest with you, I thought Gina Torres, the actor, I thought she was gone. She is now like in a different show or a movie or something like that. I think I could be wrong, but I think that's also kind of why she left. But I didn't think she would ever be in the show again. I thought maybe we'd see flashbacks, something like that. But I didn't think she would actually be in like present day in the show. So it's kind of interesting. We've already seen her, I think, twice so far. I think once last week and once this week. So pretty interesting, and of course we're probably going to see her again this season, so kind of cool. There's kind of slowly getting away from Jessica, but I'm good with it. I like the character. So Harvey meets with her in Chicago to get advice on what to do about he says it's turning into a big pile of hate Harvey. So it was kind of a funny comment there, and it's true. Everyone is hating him right now, especially after last week's episode of what he did to all of them. So basically, she says, to poach a client for Lewis, or to get Lewis a client, but basically not actually poach, just make a deal with Robert Zane or someone else. But she implies basically Robert Zane. Make a deal with him so that they can get a client from him for Lewis, so then he'll be happy again, and him and Harvey can be on good terms. And at this point, I'm thinking, I don't think that's going to win over Lewis. So this, I think he's too far gone right now, and I don't think a client would do that. That's what I was thinking in my mind in that scene there. But at least Harvey's willing to do something to kind of get him back on his side. And obviously he's encouraged by Dawn. I don't think he would have thought of this by himself. Then Harvey meets with Robert Zane on the golf course, which is pretty funny. That's just like sort of like a reoccurring scene there with him and Robert on a golf course happens at least once or twice every season. It's pretty cool. I like it. But anyways, he asked for a favor, of course, to make Lewis happy, to tell or to get a client from Robert and for Lewis, and then maybe he would give a client back, something like that, just to make a deal with them. So yeah, but then of course that goes south. Robert says it's been a down quarter or whatever. I'm not giving you a client. And then he brings on basically the whole storyline of this episode is he tells him about the Bratton Gould law firm coming after him. So he warns Harvey about that. So that was a pretty big, obviously a huge storyline in this episode. That's sort of what the whole episode is about. Except for like these little storylines embedded in. But yeah, so he warns Harvey about that, and that's sort of, he thinks that's his favor to Harvey, because obviously it helps Harvey out a lot, as we see. And obviously, Robert didn't have to do that. So now how Robert knew this, I'm not sure, because he does say, that he doesn't like Bratton Gould and he would like to get back at them, right? So I don't know how he would find this out. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just a thing in New York there with all the top law firms. They kind of find out each other's secrets, sort of stuff. I don't know. But if he's not friends with them, I'm not sure how he would figure that out. But anyways, he gives Harvey the warning. I think it was the day before it all happened. But yeah, so that was interesting there, and nice thing with Robert to do. So that basically ends that. I just grouped that together, like the Lewis stuff sort of thing there. And then, of course, after that warning, it gets into the nitty-gritty there and gets into that big Bratton Gould storyline. Okay, so then the next storyline here that we see is the whole one with Mike and Oliver, sort of. Or mainly just with Mike, I guess. But basically, Oliver talks to Mike about the Reyes case in court. And when Mike is in court there for that other pro bono. And then Mike gives him some advice. He says, to bluff them, say that you have something on them, and then they'll, settle, stuff like that. Because Oliver was saying, he can't get much on it right now. And then also he was saying, that he wouldn't. What did he say here? He says some line like the guards aren't responding because of some law, something like that, the Hippo law, I think it was, or something like that. And so that's kind of weird there. Also, of course, the prison just trying to cover up what's really happening. So Mike gives him some good advice, and of course this is after Mike hands off the case to him in last episode. So then later in the episode, we learn Oliver tells Mike that it worked, the bluff worked, and he gets a huge number on the plea deal, and a lot larger than what Mike and him originally thought he would get. And Mike sees right through it. He asked for it to see it, and he sees it, and he says it's too good of an offer, right, for what's happening here. And basically he tells him to find more cases like this so that he can maybe even get a class action against the prison. So then, of course, Mike is kind of stuck with convincing Mr. Reyes to refuse this huge deal, which would be amazing for him, right? To get sort of not. I guess it would be justice, yeah, for his son, but not really. I mean, I think that he would get the money and then the prison would just keep going, right? It's just a settlement, right? So they would just pay and the prison would just keep going and stuff would keep happening, right? So it would be justice, I guess, but not fully, I don't think. Like, it'd be better to just see the prison go under or whatever, right? And then the high-ups, go to jail, stuff like that for not doing things legally. So Mr. Reyes then, of course, he agrees to the deal after, Mike feeds him, the story about his grandma, and it's a really good story, he has to share with clients like that, and a good one in that situation too. Mike's really smart like that. He knows how to use the emotional stuff and how to get clients to do sort of what he wants, sort of thing, or not what he wants, but to do the better thing, sort of thing, like the better thing. Which would be like, to refuse this offer to hopefully get more people to join the lawsuit, right? So then basically Oliver later, this is all, out of order, of course, but Oliver finds over 20 different cases in these folders. I think he said over 20. I'm not sure how many it was, but, over 20, that's still a lot, and that is enough for the class action lawsuit thing there. And he shows Mike, but Mike, again, refuses to help him, sticks to his guns, and he doesn't want to let down Harvey. So obviously, Mike's pretty loyal to Harvey, and he signed that paper last episode that he couldn't work on it. And of course, now he's made up with Alex, so he's also letting Alex down as well, going back on his word. So there you go. So Oliver's pretty upset about that and pretty mad about it. He knows that Nathan's not going to give him the amount of like guys to help him to work on it. I guess the manpower. And so he knows, that he won't be able to do what's best for the case. So then at the very, very end of the episode, the last few seconds, Mike does call him, like we all knew he would, right? At the end of the episode, and he tells him that he will help him with the case, and that PSL will help with resources and stuff like that. And with doing this, then he goes back against Harvey, breaking the contract. So this is a big deal. And I'm pretty sure this is illegal then after he signed that contract. It's not just laying down Harvey, but it is illegal that he is now working back on this case. I'm pretty sure after he signed that conflict agreement or whatever. So it's a pretty big deal for Mike to do this, but we all knew he would. We knew that when he handed this over to Oliver, something would happen, right? So, pretty big storyline for Mike here coming in the next couple episodes. We'll see what the consequences of this is. And I don't know how Harvey and Alex are not going to find out that he is working on it if he's going to involve people from PSL. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go. But I guess we'll see what his plans are. So yeah, that was basically the whole Mike Oliver sort of storyline there. Interesting. Definitely going to lead us into some suspenseful moments coming soon, in the next few episodes. So then, of course, this is sort of the rest of the episode. The big chunk of it is the Bratton Gould storyline there with Tom Bratton. So basically the way this one starts out is, of course, Robert gives them that warning that they're coming. And basically they find out that they're going to poach Lewis's biggest client and that they're going to sue one of Harvey's biggest client for some, I think it was like an infringement, a patent infringement or something like that, they say. So a pretty big deal there for Harvey's client if they lose that. And then we see Mike save Harvey in court to defeat the Bratton Gould attack on his client. So that was pretty interesting, kind of a little flashback there to what he used to do when Harvey and him were together there. Kind of saves Harvey there as Harvey was probably about to lose that, or he was about to lose that. So that was a nice one there. And then Harvey says, "Weren't you on the pro bono or whatever?" But Mike made time for him and saves him there. So that just shows how much courage he has to do that and take time away from that pro bono case that he wanted. So definitely good there. And then this was a really good development for Lewis, in my opinion. I think this really helped him in this episode, kind of bridged him from what we saw last week's episode to sort of back to normal Lewis, or happy Lewis, I should say. So Alex saves Lewis then from losing his big client, and friendship begins. So it's pretty nice that Alex came in and saved him. It looks like he was definitely going to lose that one as well. So the secondary guys save both the big guys in this one, and then Alex and Lewis go out for dinner and bond over their dinner there. So that was a cool little scene there, both of them there, and Lewis is saying, if you ever feel undervalued, you come to me, and I hope I can do the same and stuff like that. So obviously they're going to be close now, and that's good to see Lewis having a friend, and show sort of what that Alex missed that lunch or whatever with them last week. So that's a big jump from what we saw last week, and definitely going to make Lewis a little bit more happier. So then Donna sort of this episode is looking for the mole that tells Bratton Gould information after Harvey sort of finds that out. And then she of course asks Rachel to go see Stephanie Patel, the one that was just fired last week, as she thinks she's the mole because she just started working at Bratton Gould, which is like it's just a stab in the back, honestly, right? Like, you fire this girl, and the next, I think it was the next day, or maybe 2 days after she got fired, I think this episode took place. She's already at Bratton Gould, and she has her own office. So that's a pretty good deal for her. I don't blame her for taking the job, but I'm just saying, kind of a stab in the back for Donna and Rachel after firing her, to see her, be in a way better place there anyways. So pretty interesting there, but I'm sure that Stephanie wasn't all that mad that she was fired after now what she has. So then, of course, Rachel does go to her and try to get information out of her, but she misses the appointment at the plaza. This is what I talked about earlier. And we see sort of a ruthless moment from Donna saying, I don't care what else you have this night or tonight, you have to go do this or whatever. So kind of a mean kind of moment from Donna, but of course later, she apologized to Rachel, same stuff as usual, and they all get there. And then it came with a really awkward moment here when Rachel goes and visits Stephanie, and she says, I hope you're not here to offer my job back. And then Rachel says, what if I was? Something like that. And then of course, she doesn't want it back. And it's so awkward, because Rachel goes in there, she has her own office, stuff like that. And then, of course, Stephanie tells her, I'm not the mole, I didn't do that. Stuff like that. So obviously, it wasn't her, we find out. At that moment, though, I still thought it was her, because everything set up perfectly that she would be the mole, because she just got there, she was at Pearson Spectre Lit, she just got fired, right? So I think that's the way they painted it, so we all thought that, but obviously Rachel finds out it's not her. So then Harvey and Lewis go together after they defeated the attack. They go together to Bratton Gould, to the firm, in an attempt to intimidate Tom Bratton, who's one of obviously the main partners there. And they threaten $1 billion lawsuit for poaching their clients. And then, of course, Bratton comes out and threatens to poach 20 clients from PSL. So obviously a big threat there. Obviously bigger than their probably $1 billion lawsuit. Actually, well, I don't know. It's probably about equal, to be honest. Maybe the $1 billion lawsuit's worse. But at least Tom Bratton can actually come through with his threat. And I don't think Harvey and Lewis ever plan to actually sue him. And all those papers, I bet you 80% of those were blank. It was just the first page that said, a $1 billion lawsuit, something like that, right? I bet. So anyways, so then, of course, they have to bounce back somehow. They have to get back at this so that Tom Bratton doesn't poach their 20 clients. So then Harvey proposes the fake merger with Robert Zane. This is an interesting scene to see that Robert wouldn't help him out here. And it's a fake merger. It's not real, right? And but Robert turns him down. So that's kind of interesting. If I'm Robert, I'd say, I gave you a warning. I guess that was his favor to Harvey already, but I mean, his daughter works there, and obviously that connection's gonna last forever, right? But it's a big deal for Robert if the firm goes down. So if I was Robert, I'd take the deal. Fake merger, few days, whatever. Then Tom Bratton sees that he won't try to poach the clients, and then they can just go back to the way it is and be normal. So I don't know, kind of interesting there, but Robert turns it down. So then this kind of happened. This was kind of a strange kind of way the show kind of spin. Like the whole episode here, we're trying to take down Bratton Gould, right? They're defeating them with their attacks on the clients and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, Alex Williams here, the new guy, tells Harvey, he has something on Tom Bratton, and he is able to get rid of it all. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, why did he not come to Harvey sooner? And I think even Harvey says that in the episode. I think Alex said, something like I didn't want to do it before, but I will now, or something for the firm, something like that. But it's kind of weird. I mean, why didn't they just do this in the beginning? I don't know, kind of weird, because they had a whole period of panic where they had no idea what they were doing. They thought they were getting defeated here, and then all of a sudden Alex just comes out of nowhere. But anyways, basically, and this is going to be a real mysterious thing here, because we still don't know what Alex has on him, and what just happened basically in this episode. So that's going to be really interesting for the next few episodes, and I'm sure it's going to come back to bite Alex, as most things do in this show. But we will see. So he signs, Alex goes, he signs, and says Tom had nothing to do with something. So this something is the thing that we don't know yet, but pretty interesting. So then, of course, he gets Tom to sign this, he signs that, and then he gets Tom to sign that he won't touch their clients for 10 years. So for 10 years, so that's obviously a big deal there. And obviously, it's a solution to the big problem there that they had with Tom Bratton coming after them. So obviously, it's a pretty big deal of what Alex is signing for here, that Tom had nothing to do with something. Obviously, that something is a big thing because Tom Bratton is willing to throw out basically his whole threat against PSL in order for this thing to be signed, that he had nothing to or that he wasn't a part of it or something like that. So pretty big, and 10 years, long time, so we won't have to ever worry about Bratton Gould coming after them again, which is a good thing. Solves that, but obviously I think something's going to be happening to Alex. There's got to be repercussions for this, maybe not in the next couple episodes, but definitely in the future. I think this is going to come back to bite him. That's my prediction. It's pretty easy prediction, but nonetheless, it's a prediction of mine. So then, not very end, but towards the end of the episode there, which was a really weird moment, but kind of cool that they twisted this around. This was one of my favorite parts of the episode, by the way. Harvey finds out Jessica was actually the mole, and that she helped Tom and told him information about the firm. So that was pretty interesting there. And basically, she basically helped Harvey in the end to get Lewis, Alex, and Donna, and Mike back on his side. So kind of interesting that Jessica was the one to feed Tom information, and she, of course, did her thing, lied to him a little bit and said, I didn't like the way I went out, stuff like that, to convince him, that she was telling the truth and that he should go after them, stuff like that. So kind of a really smart way, but like a dumb gamble, like what if it didn't work out? What if Harvey didn't find a way to defeat Tom? Then, the firm would have probably gone down, and the relationship with all these people would have been worse than what they were. So a big gamble there for Jessica to take after, she's not involved with the firm. She didn't ask Harvey first. She didn't ask anyone. She just went ahead and did it, which is really interesting. But in the end, I guess, lucky for Harvey and them that it actually worked. But she's smart. I think she knew that it was probably going to work, and that she knew that it wasn't as big of a gamble as we maybe can see it as. And of course, at the end, Harvey then thanks her, and tells her that he's thankful or whatever that she did it, and he says that this will be one of the last times I call you, or something like that. He's obviously mad at her at first for just causing this, but then she of course explains a little bit and tells him that I did it for the firm and for you getting back with Lewis and Donna and Mike and everyone. So kind of interesting there, but weird twist. I didn't expect that. Didn't see that coming at all. So that was a really cool way that the show got us kind of thinking and got us back into that headspace there, that it was actually Jessica. So, and it's kind of cool also that they're bringing her, like she's back in the show, but not for no reason, right? Like she was a big part in this episode. She basically caused the whole Bratton Gould thing. So she's still in the show, but at least she has a purpose, right? At least she's not just there for entertainment value for the viewers or whatever, right? Which some shows do, right? But this show brings her back. She actually has a purpose. She, is part of the plot. I really like it. Like I said, I didn't expect her to ever see her again in the show, to be honest with you, in season 6 at the end. But I'm happy that she's back into it, and I like where they're taking her character right now. So, anyways, that about wraps up the review. A couple of things I didn't put down here. I know that they were in the episode. I didn't put them down here. I didn't think they were that important, to be honest. A lot of the stuff in Suits, you'll have one or 2 or 3 scenes in each episode that are sort of like did that really have to go in there? So, something like that. So that didn't really affect my rating that much because I kind of expect that every week. But yeah, so that's probably why that wasn't part of the review. But anyways, let's get into my rating for this episode. So for this one, I gave it a 4.6 out of 5. Like I said, I did enjoy this one a lot. Definitely better than last week. Now, last week was a good episode, just for me and the rest of the viewers, probably for Suits. They probably weren't big fans of it because of just, how it was kind of a negative episode with Lewis and Harvey sort of being a dick to everyone, right? So that's why maybe that rating was lower, but it was a kind of a well-done episode. Not as good as this, but I did like that Robert came back. I liked that Jessica was in it. I liked the Mike storyline. I liked the Rachel and her dad. Basically, just all these storylines came together real nicely. The whole Brad and Gould thing was interesting. We haven't heard of those names in probably like a season or... Yeah, no, we probably heard of them last season. They talk about them sometimes, right? It comes up, conversation. But yeah, I really liked the way they all tied it together this week, and this one is definitely a little bit better than last week's. So yeah, 4.6 out of 5, which is still pretty high, and remember, these ratings for each show are, I don't, a rating for Suits is going to be different than a rating for Ozark, right? These, I know what to expect, and Ozark, I know what to expect, right? And they're on different levels. So, obviously, 4.6 out of 5 for this, is sort of, it wouldn't be the same standards, just episode production directing wise as Ozark 4.6 out of 5, if you know what I mean, sort of. But anyways, for Suits, 4.6 out of 5 is good, and I enjoyed the episode. So yeah, my favorite character for this one, which he will be for a lot of them, is Harvey Specter. I liked he got back in the good books of Lewis, Mike, Alex, Donna, even maybe Rachel, even a little bit there. He got back good with them. He's talking to Jessica, trying to improve the firm. He's working with Mike again, which I love, the two of them, the Batman and Robin stuff there. The way he goes at Tom Bratton, just everything there, and he listens to Donna throughout it. So I really liked what he did in this episode. Really good way to bounce back after last episode of basically making an enemy of everyone at his own firm. So, and he's a managing partner. You're not supposed to do that, right? So anyways, yeah, Harvey Specter, and of course, all of his lines about movies and all that, they tend to slide at least, 2 or 3 of those in each episode, so I do enjoy those too. So yeah, there you go. That is basically it for Season 7, Episode 4 of Suits. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Next week, I'm excited for that episode. I think it'll be good. I think we're going to see some of the repercussions of this Mike deal here with Oliver, saying that he's going to get back into it. And also, maybe not next episode, but a couple episodes down the road, I think we're definitely going to see the aftermath of Alex's decision to help Harvey, but also in signing for himself and maybe even in doing something illegal there. So we will see. Create some suspense there. But anyways, until next time, I'll see you guys next week for Suits, Season 7, Episode 5.